You ever wondered what's the most ridiculous reason that the ATF has denied a Form 1 or a Form 4? Well, you found the right video. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what one lawful gun owner put on his Form 1, the reason that he stated, and why the ATF initially denied it. Then we're going to talk about how the ATF retracted its statement and then still denied his Form 1. It just goes to show you the ATF is really still the same agency no matter who's in charge of it. We're going to talk about not only the implications for this gun owner, but for every gun owner. Why this question on a Form 1 exists at all, and what you should put in its place if you decide to do a Form 1. I'll give you my opinions, laced with facts. Of course, I want to hear yours, whatever it might be. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So GOA broke this story, and essentially they had one of their members file a Form 1. And on the Form 1, there's the question that's under box 4I, which says, state the reason that you are looking to make this firearm. Well, this gun owner decided to put, to exercise my God-given rights, and he was hit with a denial. Now, insufficient reasons under that question on 4I can lead you to delay and or denials. So towards the end, I'll tell you what I think, if you're gonna do a Form 1, what should be put in this box. But also, let me make this perfectly clear. Exercising your God-given rights is the only right answer. And yet the ATF denied it. Now, they acknowledged that they actually denied his paperwork based on this answer, but they said with high volumes, sometimes they'll have some administration errors. So they came out, they agreed that it should never have been denied for this reason, but now he's still denied and has to go back through the process because they can't amend a Form 1 once it's been denied or approved. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the process, Form 1 is essentially you taking a firearm that's already in existence, and let's say it's a standard 16-inch barreled rifle, okay, just a standard rifle, AR-15, and you want to make it into a SBR. Well, you file a Form 1 in order to do that. A Form 4 is where you take an existing NFA item, like an SBR, factory SBR, or a suppressor, and you want to take transfer of that item. But here's the first problem. Obviously, taking your property that's already legal and doing what you want to with it should remain legal without ATF interference or government interference at all. This is why people have such a huge problem with Form 1s. Most people, if they don't want to give over any extra information, they just decide that they won't do it. But those people that do decide, I want to make a Form 1, I'm going to go through the legal channels. Well, what happens? You fill out this question, which isn't like an option, by the way. You have to fill out a reason for making this firearm. Exercising your God-given rights is everything they need to know. But in the NFA community, it's been established for a really long time, hey, don't get clever with your answers here. That's not people in the NFA community backing down or bending the knee to the ATF. That's just because they know that the ATF can arbitrarily deny your Form 1 for almost any reason that they see fit. And this is a prime example. In no shape or form should an answer of exercising your God-given rights ever be denied, but yet they clearly do it. And this is clearly something that's been going on for a while, because regardless of how many forms they're getting in, somebody's seen that reason. Somebody denied based on that reason. Now, is this one of the people that's been snaking around the ATF for 5, 10, 20 years, that's kind of used to denying just based on whatever they want, and new leadership, Dan Driscoll doesn't know anything about it? Who knows, right? Like I've said before, man, no matter who's in charge of the ATF, until they're abolished completely, you can't trust them. You use them to get rid of gun laws, and then you get rid of them. But this has obviously been a policy that they've been following, and that's not just a guess, by the way. That's the whole reason that the NFA community, for a decade or more now, has said, don't get cued on that question 4I, because they could deny based on, I think there was one that was kind of reported. It was like, to exercise my Second Amendment rights and or a justifiable taking of another life. We'll just kind of put it like that. Firearms aren't just here to look pretty, right? We use them for the range. We have fun with them. We use them for hunting, self-defense purposes. Yes, all of that. But nothing comes above the fact that it's just your right to have it. The whole reason that it's there is so we don't turn into North Korea. Because without it, that's all it really would take. But there's also the other side of it. The other side that you will hear probably 98 or 99% of gun owners say, I hope I never need it, but if I do, I'm glad I have it. Now, is that something that I would put on an NFA form or on this question specifically? No, I probably wouldn't put it in those words because it's implied. None of us want to ever have to use it. But if you do, and you have it, it's the great equalizer. If I saw that, would I be like, oh yeah, denied? Well, absolutely not, but they wouldn't allow me in the ATF because I'd be deleting files and I'd be deleting information, and I wouldn't probably last a couple hours inside the ATF. I'd be sabotaging everything, but that's just me. Start clicking buttons, approve, just straight down the line. But anyways, I digress. Here's the bigger issue with all of this, man. We got rid of the tax, but for the longest time, it's been since 1934, you pay your taxes, you file your paperwork, you give them way more information than what they've needed. And many people have gone through this process. These guns, suppressors, SBRs, SBSs, by now should be labeled as common use, and they should all be protected under the Second Amendment. You should never have to go through any additional paperwork. But when you get hit with a denial back because you are looking to exercise your rights, that's where a lot of gun owners' ears perk up and they're like, wait a minute, the Second Amendment is no longer a right. It's basically a permission slip. And the ATF has the ability to deny that permission slip at will. And even when they backtrack and admit to error, they still won't go back and fix it. And besides the fact that suppressors are now legal in 42 states, common use argument and protections should be applied to these items. There's also the other thing, right? NFA defenders and even ATF defenders, there's very few of them in the gun community, but maybe people from the other side will say, well, it's a shall issue thing. As long as you're not prohibited, then you're going to get your item. It may take a little time and more information than you're wanting to give over, but that's the price you pay. Well, that's not even true, first of all. First of all, you're missing the whole point of this whole idea where the government shouldn't know everything that you have, which is why a lot of people skip over Form 1 and Form 4s. But also, it's not shall issue, because shall issue should never hinge on reasons that you want to exercise a right. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, if they're going to keep Form 1s and Form 4s until this whole NFA thing can be abolished altogether, I say there's a push to remove any and all questions like this from any Form 1. Maybe you have concealed weapon permit, that you get, and they ask for a reason on there. I don't remember if there was a reason or not. But I think it should be abolished altogether. You don't have to give that information when you buy a firearm. You shouldn't have to give that information when you're just buying a different class of firearm. Now, we know that Form 1s and Form 4s, while they're still here, which hopefully won't be too much longer, but while they're still here, because by the way, I don't think they could be justified any longer, especially without tax, but anyways, while they're still here, you may be saying, well, what do I put in its place? I'm not a lawyer, right? But just telling you, if you want pretty much zero pushback, any lawful purposes. That's basically worked for everybody that's went through the NFA process. But gun owners, like myself, like to see exactly how much the ATF is willing to stand behind their positions. And if you're willing to wait or go through a denial, you could always put, to exercise my God-given rights. See what they say. If they get enough people putting, exercise my God-given rights, and they just keep denying based on that, well, then we know that they're actually liars and they don't mean what they say. Next Form 1 I do, I think I'm going to put just that and just see what the heck they say. That's just me though. I'd love to hear your opinion, man. Have you ever had a Form 1 denied based on this? What about any other NFA stories that you have that you'd like to share or willing to share? Let me know down below or whatever your opinion is. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.